Alright, y'all, so let's talk about this. We're going to talk about Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman. So, before I even... Let me just start by saying I thought Sebastian Fundora should have won this fight, and he did. I felt like with his range, his height, that long reach, I felt like he should have had no problem keeping Keith on the outside and causing Keith to have to lunge in and not be able to land clean shots without putting himself in harm's way. And basically, Sebastian Fundora is like, he's not like some incredible fighter to me. I look at his physical gifts, what he has, and if he used those right, he should get all those guys' problems, man, because height-wise, reach-wise, and everything, man, he's always going to be the tallest guy in the fight that weight class. And with Keith Thurman, when I watched him fight, the Barrios fight, like you look at his more previous fights. Now, one thing about Keith Thurman is I feel like he knows what to say. He understands boxing, but in terms of him being able to do the things he say, well, you have to look at your level of competition. This is one of the biggest mistakes that boxers and boxing fans make, okay? They look at your career and say, this guy, this, that, he fought all kind of styles, or he did, okay. That was way back when. But right now, can you still do it? And when I look at Keith Thurman, the way Keith Thurman likes to fight, Keith likes to throw power shots. And if he moves to create space, reset, and things like that, one thing about Keith Thurman is, like, he's not effective with the movement going backwards, for one. He's effective when he's in front of you, or if he's able to give you angles and you're flat-footed. And I think because Fundora is flat-footed and he has that long, lanky body, that they was hoping that they could punish him to the body. Well, we know that Keith don't like body shots either. And with Fundora being as tall as he is, I don't think they expect him to really try to throw a lot of body shots. I don't really think that they did. I really don't think they did. Keith Thurman did exactly what I thought he was going to do. Move and lunge. He was lunging and reaching and overextend, committing the punches so much, and wasn't really landing much. So when I look at how the fight played out, it's similar to how I thought it would go. Very similar to how I thought it would go. And I feel like also, see, the thing about Fundora, like, it's one thing when you have, like, fast hands and you really know how to put shots together. Fundora, long arm, lanky guys, they throw shots in a weird way, where it's like they don't get all that power on their shots, unless you're standing stationary and they have you as a stationary target against the ropes or something where they can just pound on you. But when they have to find you, they reach, they slap with their punches, and they can't get to you the way that they need to. If Fundora will be on his Tommy Hearns and snap that jab and push with that jab and walk you down and keep that long reach out, and throw throw that straight without having to commit. But he don't have that type of quickness, that torque where he can twist at the body. He doesn't have that. So my thing was, I thought he should outwork Keith, wear Keith Thurman down, and pretty much wind up like really, catching Keith with shots and outpointing Keith, and never feel like a stoppage was out of reach, But at the same time, the referee stopping that fight. People talking and it was premature. One thing about Keith Thurman is he talks a lot of trash. Yeah, Keith. That's one thing. That's one thing he's great at, is making an analysis that's far-fetched, but make it sound like it's so feasible, because he's telling you, oh, and I had a fight with this guy, and I did this and that happened, and I wish that if the ref would have did this. So in other words, now the referee was the one that was uneducated in the ring. The ref was the one. He's like, I showed him something. He said, show me something. Yeah, No, you didn't go down. But here's my thing. I have seen fights where fighters didn't go down, but they started getting pounced on. And yeah, you were using your legs, you were moving around. Hey, no greater example than Diego Corrales and Jose Luis Castillo, where a guy, it looked like it was all but over for Jose. For Diego. But you saw what happened. He kept getting up and kept getting up. Okay, well, that was that fight. And you have different fights where different things has happened, and people will say the guy should have stopped it or he should have did this and that. Here's my thing, right? When you just run from one rope to another, when you're not letting your hands go, when you are just using just your legs, and there's nothing really coming back, and you just can't avoid the shots. And him talking about his face being like bruises on his face from his own glove, and I get it, and that is true. That is true that you can block your face, and then your glove, your the palm with the strings and all whatever that's true. But the referee is looking at your face. The referee is looking at your body language. Keith talking about we were just getting started and talking about the next 4 rounds. He promised would have been this and that. Keith just knows how to talk shit. He knows how to say things, and I'm pretty sure he just his words alone, he got a lot of people going, yeah, I agree with him, because he talks that shit and makes it sound like, yeah, that's true. But Keith Thurman, as a veteran fighter, knows that you have to show something. Just running from one rope to another rope and just, the guy, and listen, you got to understand, you've never seen Keith Thurman's face look like that. He's 37 now. And he's still talking like I'm just surprised. Nothing surprises me. But it's kind of surprising he didn't say, you still haven't seen the best Keith Thurman. He's been saying that shit every year that he's been a pro fighter. And he says it, and we're like, well, we're still waiting for it, Keith. Let's not act like this guy was, look, he lost to Pacquiao when he was 30. Pacquiao was 40. He's 37 now, okay? And looking at Keith Thurman is done. Let's not fool yourselves. Keith Thurman is done. If Keith Thurman gets in there with boots, he's going to sleep. If he gets in there with Sebastian Fundora in a rematch, the only thing with Sebastian, same thing probably will happen. More like this, it'll be the same thing, maybe even worse. Because to be honest with you, there's nothing that Keith Thurman can do differently that's going to be effective. It's just a puncher's chance type situation for him to win, because he doesn't have the reach to outbox and outmove. See, if Keith Thurman had that defense, if he could get on his Mayweather and Pernell shit and be on some right in front of you, make you miss, make you pay, that would be something different. I mean, we seen when Floyd fought against Diego Corrales, who had that same really tall. He's really put like this, much taller than Floyd. And we saw Floyd was able to break him down and get in the inside and catch him. And Fundora is what I'm saying. People call him a freak of nature and all that because of his height and the weight class he fights at. People come all these stupid ass nicknames and all. Fundora is as good as he is. Put it like that. He's as good as he is. But people will try to put extra emphasis on how good someone is, especially when it comes to, okay, who's next? Let's match him up with this guy and that guy. But Fundora got the win. I think if the look, it doesn't matter what we think, because what happened. We have an outcome, and Keith can cry and talk about, unfortunately, it was too fast of a stoppage and whatever. But the referee's job is not to fucking focus, and this as a pro fighter. This is some of the common sense. The referee's job is not to focus on your logic and what you were hoping happened and what you were thinking. Yeah, I was waiting because I know he tired. He's out like the 7th or 8th rounds. And I was waiting, and trust me, y'all. It was about to get this and that. And it was about to heat up and whatever. We was just starting to get heated. And we was like, all right. By that time, your face would you probably would have been like unidentifiable at that point. And the referee's looking at what's going on in the ring, not worried about what you're thinking or trying to do. And no, he wasn't knocked down in the fight, but he never hurt Fundora. He never did anything to Fundora. He did no damage to Fundora. So you were the one taking the punishment. And if you're getting hit and you're bruising your face up with your own gloves, even though that can happen, like the markings and all, like whatever, especially on a light-skinned fighter like that, right? But if you did all that to your own face, well, you made the fight easier for Fundora. you made the fight easier for Fundora, and you yourself Keith is done, man. I don't care how much you like Keith Thurman as a fighter, and yeah, what he was, he's not that now. He's not that now. And like I said, he's lunging to get trying to land shots. And the problem when you lunge, one is you're not really looking. You're just jumping in, leaping in, and pretty much trying to get desperate to land something. He doesn't know how to work his way in and get in. Usually shorter fighters try to get on the inside. Now, when you're a guy that can fight stationary or on the back foot or going forward, you have options to do so many different things. And Keith, he just uses his legs, like I said, to stay out of harm's way. But he's not like the type that can move, pivot, pop, 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 put some shit on you, move, and just Keith was a good fighter, but Keith is done. And it's obvious he wants to fight some more, and this is why he's trying so hard to convince the people that it was an early stoppage and, he had more in store for Fundora, but, the ref stopped it. It all sounds good, but Keith Thurman may find himself in a fight that he doesn't need. And I say that simply because I can see that he's done. All that lunging and winging wild shots. And the funny thing is, he says that Fundora does that. He starts winging wild shots, that he was winging wild shots. Right, but so was Keith. And this is what I'm saying. There's nothing amazing about Fundora, man. But Keith's situation is just different, man. Like, Keith, like I said, he can talk and stuff, and he understands boxing, and even when he's trying to defend himself, yeah, he says a whole lot of unrealistic shit, but he articulates it in a way where you guys are listening, and if you don't have common sense yourself, you'll sit there and go, like I said, yeah, he's right, yeah, that was early my ass, man. Keith was getting fucked up. And if y'all want to believe that the majority of that damage to his face was his own gloves, then be my guest. But Keith Thurman, look, everybody's day comes to an end, man. And this is like for me, I always look at these guys, and one thing I know about fighters, and I know about their camps, okay, their team. When fighters get a certain age, especially when you've already been champion and you've put your thumbprint on this sport, what they try to do is keep you away from young, hungry fighters that they know is a real threat. And your name is in a different category, even if, okay, hear me, even if those fighters is good enough to beat you, they haven't earned the crowd's respect yet. They haven't earned made a big enough name yet. So people will, that boy need to sit down. He ain't ready here. You always hear that shit, right? And I can no better example. I can remember when Terry Norris and Sugar Ray Leonard was going to fight. And all of the Sugar Ray Leonard, people that grew up watching Sugar Ray was like, oh man, Ray gonna beat the shot that boy. That boy ain't ready for no damn Ray. Ray this, Ray that. And always Ray was my guy, man. But Terry was too. And I was a kid watching these two, and I'm like, I remember, I told y'all this story before, and I was the only person in the room that picked Terry to win. And one thing that Terry did at times, Terry was known to just get careless, man. That dude, when he was on, he was on. When that motherfucker was on, man, I would pick him over anybody that he fought. The problem, like I said, is is him being sometimes with the just carelessness at times. People depend on that. As soon as he make a mistake, and he's going to make a mistake, but then all of a sudden he doesn't. And pretty much everybody, I couldn't find one person that thought Terry had a chance. They was saying that Terry was going to, the same way how people were like, man, Crawford will beat the shit out of Jerron Puzenis. He ain't ready. Nah. And they start breaking out all Jerron's mistakes, and that's exactly how they were talking about Sugar Ray versus Terry Norris. I remember this shit. And they was like, nah, Harry's young, man. He don't know yet. But he, and all of a sudden, we sat down and watched the fight, and I'm just looking at everybody in the room, staring at everybody. And they all sitting there, man, if Ray was younger, I'm like, man, come on, man. And see, this is what I don't like about the excuses, man. All before that, nobody saw anything in Sugar Ray that made him think that Terry Norris was going to win. But because he got his ass beat so bad, it ends up being a whole, Ray was old, man. If he was, y'all wasn't saying all that before. Ray was 34 years old. So I'm just looking at this going, nah, man, stop it. That's why when I say you take a Floyd Mayweather that went all the way to 38 years old, and at 40 was able to come back and fight, the fact that people trusted in him and believed in him and McGregor, that they could put such a big money fight on. When these guys now, everybody's trying to copy that. You look at all these people trying to copy that and it's not of the same success. But, it's like Floyd had that impact on the sport. And his last, before Crowder, he was 38 years old. So you telling me at 34, Ray was great, was burnt out, he was washed up, but Floyd could do it till he was 38. Crawford could do it till he was 38. So how the fuck you gonna put Ray? You understand what I'm saying? Well, not in his prime, and it's like, well, that's irrelevant because he wasn't 24 when he fought. Between 24 and 28 years old when he fought against Terry Norris. Okay, he was 34. He called out Terry Norris. Not Terry Norris calling out him. Terry didn't want to fight him because that's his idol. He called out Terry Norris. He didn't call out James Toney. He didn't call out Michael Nunn. I mean, there was several other people he could have fought. He just fought Donnie Luan at 168 pounds. So he could have stayed up there. He could have went to 160. No, he chose Terry. And the fact that he never won a title at 154 pounds. He said Terry reminds me a lot of myself. But again, he thought that, as a matter of fact, they even asked him about fighting Chavez and Pernell. He said it's a joke. He's like, Pernell's too small. He laughed at that shit. He laughed at fighting Chavez and Pernell. But when he chose Terry Norris, what do you think he thought? This guy's going to beat me? No, he thought, I'm going to beat this guy. And I think Ray was thinking just like everybody else. His experience, everything, his hand speed, everything, he still had. Ray still, that's why I said, I don't care what anybody say. Y'all can meet right all you want. I watched that fight. Ray was still good. Ray still had that hand speed, everything. Terry was just different. And he couldn't handle it. It was like he was fighting, like he was fighting himself in the mirror. You understand what I'm saying? But it's like, damn, what happened? And, he retired after that. And then came back at 40 and fought Camacho. So, when you're done, right? So one thing Ray said is on the way to the ring, he knew he was going to lose. And I'll tell you why he knew he was going to lose. It's because reality had set in of who Terry was. And he knew Terry is on shit. This is different. Now, I'm fighting somebody that's cut from the same cloth as me. And Terry Norris was high volume, a lot of punches, never got tired, man. That dude could go all night long. And Ray Leonard, he went there and like I said, I couldn't find one person. Everybody was like, Ray gonna kill that boy. Nah, man. And now here's the thing. You saw Ray fight and you saw Terry fight. Somehow, what you thought, what you saw made you come to the conclusion that Ray was gonna kill Terry. But then when Terry gets, go in there and beat Ray's ass, all of a sudden now, Ray was old. So I look at right now, Keith Thurman is 37. The eye test, watching what he did, what he could do, what he couldn't do. I'm telling you, it's not just a Fundora thing. Keith is cooked. In fact, a guy like Boots, who has way better fundamentals than Fundora, he will more likely knock Keith Thurman out. Listen. Every guy's gonna do what they're gonna do. You want to keep fighting? Be my guest. Go ahead, keep fighting. But I saw a lunging Keith Thurman. I saw a Keith Thurman that was just throwing desperate shots. I saw a Keith Thurman that couldn't use skill and boxing IQ to break his opponent down and get to him. I saw a Keith Thurman that got beat up, bruised up, marked up, bloody, and made excuses about his own gloves, cutting his face, and how the referee stopped the fight, but he wanted to keep going. Yeah, a fighter wants to keep going. Nobody said you didn't want to keep going. The whole point is you couldn't keep going safely in the eyes of the referee, and that's the referee's job, to use his discretion on the fighter. So you got to, all these fighters always say, hey man, they shouldn't have stopped the fight. Now don't get me wrong, we've seen bad stoppages. Yes. This stoppage, in all honesty, was like Keith Thurman was just taking too much punishment. And the ref couldn't see anything changing. And like I said, you run from one corner just to run to it, from one rope to run to another rope, get back to another rope, and you can't fire anything. You can't do anything effective. The ref is trying to, your health is what the referee cares about. So for every fighter that cries about how we put our life on the line and we this and we that, but then when the referee stop a fight, oh man, they stopping the fight too soon. And it's like, listen, show him something. You said you showed him something by running from one rope to another. You got beaten up from all four quarters of the ring, man. Like, stop, Keith. You got beat up, man. You're cooked. You're done. You're finished. Stick a fork in you. Now you can keep fighting. And what's gonna happen, like he said, right? If you beat me, but beat my ass, exactly. And that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. They'll probably try to bring him back with some soft touch, some meatball fight to try to make him look good. Hope that he can. I'm not saying there's not nobody in the division he can't beat, but nobody of any real quality he shouldn't be able to beat. That Keith Thurman I saw is done. And if that Keith Thurman can beat anybody that's at the top level in that division, in any division, then they're not that good. They're just not that good. We've seen Fundora fight other people. We've seen Fundora lose. Okay, we've seen him get knocked out. We've seen him fight other people, and the fights are far more closer. And you're telling me that this version of Keith Thurman is going to do what in the rematch? Is going to do what against a Bruce Ennis or Ortiz? Like what is he going to do with these guys? Keith is done, man. But it is what it is. And hey, Fundora got it done. He did what he had to do, and that's what mattered. And it's a plus for Fundora for the simple fact that he went in there and got beat or had a back and forth 50-50 type fight and then just pulled it off. It would not say anything good for Fundora. The thing about Fundora, and I say this and I'll continue to say it, he still doesn't know how to use his physical gifts properly. Tall fighters just don't know how to fight like tall fighters anymore. They just don't. They really just don't. They all that winging and slinging punches. This is why I laugh when people say Paul Williams would have beat Floyd. I'm like, Paul Williams would have beat Floyd. Same Paul Williams that got knocked out by Sergio Martinez. And then he knocked him out in the rematch. But that same, man, listen, man, linky long fighters like that, they can't handle movement, especially a sharp defensive fighter that can counter, make you miss and make you, man. Floyd would have beat the shit out of Paul Williams, man. All that volume don't mean nothing. Paul Williams, that sloppy shit. Y'all was impressed by that because, 1,000 punches in a fight. Great. Sloppy ass work, though. Exhausted. I've seen Paul Williams get to the end of a fight and he's more tired than his opponent, even though he's hitting his opponent more because he's throwing all them damn punches and he's the one staggering all over the place and can't breathe. Right. And you throwing all that shit. And Paul Williams is slow. You think he's going to hit Floyd with that shit? Like, y'all really say some of the dumbest things and call yourselves boxing aficionados, man. I'm like, all right, yeah. Go and stroke your egos, but, not taking anything from Fundora, but just being honest. There's nothing special about Fundora. If he learned how to use that height, let me tell you something, man. If somebody got with him and taught him snap that jab, man, throw that shit with power, keep your head off that center line, keep your hand ready to guard, and when you use that jab, work that jab, work everything off that jab. When you throw that fucking straight, throw that shit sharp, quick. Don't step in, just turn at the waist with it. You know what I'm saying? Turn at the waist with it, keep that guard hand ready, come back with the hook. Everything is precise. Like, if somebody, and the thing is, I don't think he has that kind. He doesn't have that kind of speed. But if somebody teach you how to throw your punches properly, you can get the shots to move quicker for you. But I see, like I said, Fundora is who he is, and the fact that Keith Thurman got beat up like that, he's done, man. All right, he's done. Now, if it would have been a competitive fight, I wouldn't say Keith was done. I would just, if it was a competitive back and forth, because we've seen Fundora have competitive fights. But the way he got beat up, it's over for Keith Thurman. So, Keith one time, now it's no time. It's done. If he needs to go in there and get his brains beat out to help somebody, to help him convince him that he's done, so be it. This is the hurt business. It's what you signed up for. But yeah, and the thing with Keith Thurman is he take all these long breaks after every fight. So what makes anybody think he's going to jump in the ring anytime soon? He's 37 now. time is not on his side, and the worst thing he could do is take another long break. So what are you going to do at age 40? He takes too many breaks in between. He's injury prone. So yeah, Keith Thurman isn't what he used to be. It's blatantly obvious. Anybody can see it. Being a fanboy doesn't change anything. Just understand something about Keith. He does all of this all the time. He has the answers for everything verbally. But when it comes to being able to show it in the ring, too much valuable time went by, man. I mean, him and Errol Spence, could have fought a long time ago. He could have fought Terence Crawford a long time ago. But this is one of the things, and why I say, like, when people say, oh, y'all just want this guy to fight everybody. Yeah, that's the point. I don't understand what this pussy mindset that y'all have now. If I'm in the fight game, bro, I want everybody. I want everybody. There's no way you're going to have me, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Dillian White, all these, Joe Joyce and all these, Joseph Parker, and I'm not going to fight them? I'm not. Why? Because my resume going to say Aries defeated all of the top heavyweights. By the time he stopped fighting, it was just newcomers that had no name yet. But he beat everybody. That's how I want to move. Ain't no, all right, let them fight each other. No, I want all the top dudes. That's what I'm putting my body through these grueling training camps for. Not for meatballs. I don't need to have a fight to try to look good. No, I don't need that bullshit. Give me all these motherfuckers. And I'm going to beat all of them. It's simple. These dudes are in here picking and choosing and making excuses to not fight. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, Keith Thurman was a good champion, man. He had a good career. But I'm not stupid. My two eyes, I know what I saw. I know what my brain comprehends. He's finished. Keith is done. And believe me, the worst thing that's gonna happen is he's gonna go in there. And he was trying to not get hit in the body too. I don't think he really thought Fundora was gonna throw body shots, but the way he was moving and just trying to stay out of harm's way and lunging in, just throwing the same repetitive punches over and over, it just shows you he had no plan B, no plan C. And that was it. Just try to stay out of harm's way, but just lunge in and just try to hit something. And it didn't work out for him. Anyway, that's that. I don't know what's next for Sebastian Fundora. I know Jermell Charlo is talking shit once again. And, if that's the next fight, who knows? I don't know. But this will be the first time we've seen Jermell, whoever he fights, since he got his ass whooped by Canelo. And I really don't know what's going on with these fighters anymore, like I said, because they just all talk and insult each other and say shit. But if you get a fight, then you don't get, like, this was no super fight. This was just an old veteran, coming back trying to make a statement with a funny haircut. Okay, and Keith Thurman got that cartoon fade, but at the same time, that's what this was. Let me see if I still had it. Let me see how I stack up with the younger generation now. These guys, and that's pretty much what you saw. And he asked the question. He's finished. Now, I don't want to talk about him again as far as this fight, so I'm getting all this out now. And it's like I said I was going to do a video, but I'm not. And I mean, if I feel different, something else has to happen. Like me seeing Anthony Joshua over there in the Ukraine and learning their culture and history and things that, even like more current things, and visiting a lot of people, sick kids and stuff with Usyk. AJ is cementing himself in a different way. And Anthony Joshua is in the public eye to where whether people want to see him lose or want to see him win, they do want to see Anthony Joshua. So, again, I don't know what's in store for Anthony Joshua. I don't know if AJ ever will be undisputed. I don't know that. He knows that regardless to whatever happens, he'll never be over Usyk. And I know people will try to, but you can't really put Tyson Fury over AJ. I mean, you can have your opinion and think Fury would have beat him. I really don't think. I honestly feel like AJ. I just get this feeling that AJ would beat Tyson Fury. That I just got that feeling, and I feel like that's probably what's going to end up happening. If Tyson Fury comes back, like he's supposed to be coming back fighting on Netflix. So if he comes, like if he wins that fight, I believe that this is a fight that they're gonna try to make AJ versus Tyson Fury finally, and for him to beat Tyson Fury, I don't see him fighting Usyk again. I don't see that happening. I think Usyk will retire. Whether this is his last fight with this Rico Verhoeven guy or not, I don't know. But AJ is 36, 37. So, even for Usyk to say he think AJ will be champion again, I heard it and all that, but words don't mean anything. I don't know. Like I said, the eye test. I have to see AJ do something for me to think he's gonna be undisputed. For one, for him to collect the belts one at a time, it's gonna take a while. I really don't see that happening. If one person has all the belts, like Usyk has 3 now, and then they have the one that basically, he let go, WBO, right? So let's just say, for example, if Anthony Joshua fights for that belt and he wins it, okay? Now, he'll be a 3-time champion in a division, but also, when Usyk is gone, it's not like they're just going to have some tournament for all 3 belts. It will be a thing where now all the belts are just vacant. And if they have tournaments and AJ's involved, it would honestly be for this. Whoever wins any one of those belts, it would be champion versus champion next match. Champion versus champion next match. That way, if they have plans to try to build AJ to get to that, or I can see, but things don't necessarily have to happen that way, and so I can't say AJ is gonna be champion, and I don't know, but I think Moses puts the beats on all of those dudes from what I see right now. I don't see any of those heavyweights, and again, puncher's chance, okay, but if AJ, I don't know. We just have to see. We need that confident, poised Anthony Joshua. We need that AJ that throws punches with speed and power. We need that confident AJ that understands his skill set and believes in himself. I just don't see that. I don't know. I don't see, does he have that ability? I don't know. I really just don't see it. Like for example, when you look at hand speed, look how frustrated he was when he fought Usyk, right? Now imagine with the Tama, with the hand speed, but with more pop in his punch. Elusive enough on the feet to get out of harm's way when you throw punches back at him. Can fight going backwards, can fight going forwards. AJ would have to let his hands go, not stupidly, not desperately, snap those punches. Like I said, if you watch AJ fight back in the day versus now, you like, what happened, man? Why? We know what happened, but you know what I'm saying? Like that AJ, people forget that AJ existed. That's the AJ we need to beat Otama. But only time will tell. If he learns something from Usyk, he can pick some things up that can help him to become a better fighter and good enough to beat Otama. Because, let's be real. If he land the right shot and get him out of there, then age, night, guess what? But you may never get to learn that shot. Not only that, Otama has just as big a chance of knocking him out. So, that looks like the guy right now, man. But, we just got to see through time because, there's more fights out there for him. And we got to see how he looks. We got to see the way things work. But, yeah, I just wanted to make that video. And I wanted to say that because I don't want to make a separate video about AJ and Usyk. I talked about them in this video and also the last video that I just made with about Jermaine Franklin, and Otama, because it's the type of thing where people like to talk and just say a bunch of things and then they start crossing their fingers and hope that it happens. And AJ has always been the heavyweight that I wanted to see win, but y'all know I'm not biased. I don't sit up here. I'm not a fan. I don't take it personal. If somebody get their ass with, they just get their ass with. She don't do anything to me. But yeah, I definitely, see Keith Thurman as being done. And, Fundora's not one of these guys. He's not unbeatable, man. He's not like, oh, he's on a whole nother level. If he learns how to use that height and learn how to put his shots together and work off of his jab. See, what Fundora is a basic fighter, right? That doesn't mean a basic fighter can't fight. Bevel's basic. But if he learned, to see how Bevel fights? If he could emulate that, keep his hands up, stand tall, just pop his jab, learn how to step with his jab, keep his head off the center line, double, triple jab. He got a long reach. You don't have to reach. You're going to make your opponents reach. That double and triple jab going to have these motherfuckers lunging at you because they can't get anything else. They're going to be desperate, and they're going to be intimidated to try to get on the inside and they're getting caught from the outside. You can't get past that reach. And Fundora still doesn't know how to do that. That's why he gets in so many goddamn scraps that's unnecessary. And that's what people are understanding. They look at the fact that he gets the win. Okay, great. You won, but you make fights so much harder for himself. He really does, man. So, yeah. Somebody else will beat Fundora at some point. But it won't be Keith Thurman. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Catch you guys on the next video.